When we were in school, Eden Smedley was like a shining star, the center of everyone's attention. He was the only one who liked me. He pampered me to the skies. But when we broke up, I shattered his pride, and he nearly lost his life. He hated me for 5 years. Years later, we met again. Eden Smedley had become a top celebrity, and was engaged to a beautiful fiancée. Someone asked him, "During your school days, was there ever someone you loved deeply?" He smiled and said, "Never." Returning to campus, the atmosphere was tense. No one expected me to show up, and no one welcomed me. I stood at the classroom door, the sound of mockery filling the air. She dares to show up after ruining Eden Smedley's life like that, probably regretting it now that Eden Smedley is famous. She was a liar before, and now she's even thicker skinned. I stood tall, as if I hadn't heard a thing. Today was a special class reunion. Our entire class had been invited to film a promotional video for our alma mater, because our class had produced a major figure, Eden Smedley. He debuted right after high school, and in just 5 years, he had risen to the top. This promotional video was centered around him. To help Eden Smedley relive his high school days, the class monitor specially invited everyone, except me, Virginia Horace. The class monitor approached me. "Eden Smedley is coming soon. Could you step away for a bit?" I remained silent. The class monitor thought I didn't want to leave. "It's not that I'm trying to kick you out. To be honest, the guest list was sent to me by Eden Smedley. Only then did I slowly look at him. And your name isn't on it." The class monitor's voice was low but clear. "Eden Smedley doesn't want to see you." Back in school, everyone knew Eden Smedley. He was radiant, the center of attention, and he was madly in love with me. But even such a person had his pride, shattered by me during our breakup. It was only natural he didn't want to see me. I waited outside the classroom. After a while, Eden Smedley arrived, surrounded by the film crew. He didn't see me. Years had passed, and he was even more outstanding than before. His already striking features seemed almost too dazzling under the professional team's care. When he entered the classroom, the whole class fell silent. Eden Smedley headed straight to his seat. As he passed the desk in front of him, his steps faltered slightly. "That was my old seat, now empty. Move this desk and chair out," he said. The assistant was momentarily taken aback. "Why should we move it out? It's empty. It looks bad on camera." "Oh, okay." The desk and chair I used were immediately removed and carelessly placed in the hallway. No one paid any attention. Before filming started, there was an interview segment. A school reporter asked, "I heard Eden Smedley was an excellent student, but was at the bottom of the class for half a semester. Can you tell us why?" Was I? "Yes, during the second semester of sophomore year. I don't remember." Eden Smedley smiled faintly. He seemed to genuinely not remember, but I remembered very clearly. That year, Eden Smedley performed poorly, ranking in the bottom 10 in the monthly exams. The homeroom teacher called him to the office. I was passing by the window with my homework. He suddenly turned his face towards me. After returning from the office, Eden Smedley poked me on the back. "Virginia Horace, you heard the teacher scolding me, didn't you?" "Yes, I'm really embarrassed. As compensation, can you explain some problems to me?" He smiled at me, the smile of a young man, recklessly bold. It burned through my entire youth. Later, Eden Smedley told me that he had deliberately failed his exams. He had a plan all along, but now, Eden Smedley claimed he didn't remember. I stared at the discarded desk, lost in thought. Inside the classroom, the atmosphere remained lively. One last question, which might be a bit gossipy. "Eden Smedley, during your school days, was there anyone you loved deeply?" The class fell silent again. No one knew how long it lasted. Eden Smedley gave a faint, mocking smile. "Never." Eden Smedley came from a wealthy family and was handsome. He was the apple of the teacher's eyes, and the talk of the school. Prideful as he was, even his confession was dramatic. That June, at the graduation ceremony, Eden Smedley spoke on behalf of the entire student body. He suddenly threw away his speech and said, "Virginia Horace, after the college entrance exams, will you be my girlfriend?" The playground erupted with screams. The senior students had been holding back their feelings for so long. This confession seemed to open the floodgates, and everyone expressed their emotions. Amidst the tidal wave of cheers, Eden Smedley leapt off the stage and ran towards me. Even after 5 years, I still can't forget the brilliance of Eden Smedley that day. Later, someone asked Eden Smedley why he chose me. There were so many girls in school who secretly liked him, including the school beauty. I had poor social skills and kept to myself. Why did he like me? Eden Smedley said, I once saw Virginia Horace practicing the piano, playing Eason Chan's Long Time No See, and I've been thinking about it for 3 years. The school beauty retorted, but she hasn't touched the piano for a year. She just doesn't want to play. Our Virginia Horace can play whenever she wants and stop whenever she wants. Not wanting to play. Heh. She boasted so much before, but she didn't even pass the preliminary audition for Central Conservatory of Music. That day, Eden Smedley was very angry. Since then, no one dared to say anything bad about me in front of him. But Eden Smedley didn't know. I stopped playing the piano, not because I didn't want to, but because I couldn't. I started learning the piano at 5 and passed the 10th grade at 9. After a performance at 16, a piano master personally approached me. He encouraged me to apply to the Central Conservatory of Music and become his prize student. I thought my future was bright, until I had a car accident before the art exams. My left hand was severely injured. Despite the doctor's efforts, it left lingering effects. I couldn't play the piano anymore. Even a little exertion caused my left hand to tremble uncontrollably. My mother suggested I retake the year and then take the exam, but I refused. In my youth, who doesn't have lofty ambitions and refuse to bow to fate? I stubbornly entered the exam room, but I played so poorly. The teacher frowned and interrupted me, saying, "Next." I also heard whispers, "So, this is the prodigy piano girl." I thought she was great. Later, when the preliminary results were announced, my name was missing. It was like being drenched with ice water, completely soaked. From then on, I became introverted and quiet. A classmate asked me, "Virginia Horace, why don't you play the piano anymore?" I casually replied, "I don't want to play." This was my last act of stubbornness, because I didn't want them to think of me as a failure. I especially didn't want their pity. Pity is a kind of arrogant emotion. However, the news of my failure in the preliminary auditions quickly spread throughout the school. Classmates said, "True love lies. She didn't even pass the preliminary audition, but says she doesn't want to play." It's hilarious. Because of this lie, I became a laughingstock, but I would rather be ridiculed and disliked than to be a topic of pity. So, I never defended myself. Yet the tragedy was not over. My family tried to find the hit-and-run driver, but faced numerous obstacles. No surveillance. Descriptions didn't match. Excuses were endless. In short, the driver had powerful connections and was perfectly hidden. My mother ran around endlessly, aging rapidly. I, too, became numb amidst my classmates' isolation. Eden Smedley appeared at that time. He transferred to our class in sophomore year. He moved his desk to sit behind me and asked, "Is this seat taken?" He would lightly poke me on the back. "Can I borrow an eraser?" He would cover me with his school uniform jacket during my nap. Eden Smedley got along well with everyone, but his first outburst was because of me. One day, when I wasn't there, the class was gossiping about me. "Virginia Horace is so vain. She used to boast about being a piano genius, but she didn't even pass the preliminary audition. Wasn't it her who bought all the media that praised her before? Truly vain to the core. Disgusting. She doesn't play the piano. What does she do all day?" I saw her getting into an old man's car before. TSK. She's so young and already selling herself. Filthy words, unbearable to hear. I stood at the door, hesitating to enter the classroom. At that moment, Eden Smedley stormed in. He kicked over a desk. "Get lost." That was the first time I heard Eden Smedley swear. Even though it was a curse word, my heart skipped a beat. From then on, I had one more teenage crush, named Eden Smedley. Stepping away from the memories, I approached the discarded desk. There was a word on the corner. Everyone thought it was Virginia Horace's, but it was actually Eden Smedley's. It was clearly a mutual pursuit. So why did it end so tragically? Oh yes, because in late August, Eden Smedley took me to his home. I met his mother, the gentle, meticulous, and all-capable mother he spoke of. It was her, the perpetrator who caused my accident, bribed officials, and refused to take responsibility, the person who ruined my future. And she was Eden Smedley's most beloved family member. And this perpetrator didn't remember anything. Perhaps she fled in a hurry that day and didn't notice my face. She pretended to be gentle and greeted me. This is the first time Eden Smedley has brought a female classmate home. Eden Smedley, feeling embarrassed, whispered to me, "I told you, my mom would definitely like you." But he didn't know. I felt like I was in an ice cave. "What are you doing here?" The memory ended, and someone called me Emma Saul, a popular actress. Her most famous work was The Rumors with Eden Smedley. They grew up together, and shortly after Emma Saul debuted, Eden Smedley took good care of her. Fans loved the CPs who were childhood sweethearts before becoming famous. Emma Saul's assistant was carrying dozens of cups of milk tea, seemingly to share with everyone. "You're here, why?" She looked at me arrogantly. "Actually, I was here to meet the music director. I just happened to catch this reunion." But there was no need to explain to her. I said, "This is my alma mater. Can't I come?" "But didn't you go to the attached school? Why are you at our school?" Eden Smedley asked me to come and keep him company. Emma Saul adjusted her hair, intentionally showing off her ring. Seeing me looking, Emma Saul said, "This is my engagement ring with Eden Smedley." I was momentarily speechless. "Congratulations." "Oh right. I asked Eden Smedley if we should invite you to the wedding," she said with a smile. "But Eden Smedley said he still hates you. He said you cheated on him, and slept with his younger brother, when you broke up." I pursed my lips in silence. Eden Smedley hates his half-brother the most. "But you not only cheated but also claimed you only saw Eden Smedley as a substitute for his brother." Eden Smedley was so hurt he almost lost his life. Fortunately, he's moved on now. We're very happy. I nodded numbly. "Oh, and you? I heard your life isn't so great." "Deserved. It's karma." Emma Saul seemed to take pleasure in humiliating me. She strutted away in her high heels. With Emma Saul's arrival, the classroom was filled with laughter. Behind a wall, in the hallway, it was just me and my desk. I pretended the desk had piano keys and silently played. I was so absorbed in it, so I didn't notice Eden Smedley had come out. He was wearing his school uniform. Standing at the classroom door, the wind blew, lifting the hem of his uniform. He looked at me, with no trace of the light he used to have. Just one glance. He turned and left. After finishing my talk with the music director, I left. By evening, I suddenly realized I had left some documents in the desk. When I rushed back to the classroom, everyone had already left. But there was one person still there. Eden Smedley was lying on his desk, seemingly asleep. The assistants were gone. He had buried his head in his arms, his fingers hanging on the back of my chair. My desk and chair had somehow been moved back. The scene stunned me for a moment. A young man, a school uniform, and the setting sun. The image seemed to overlap with the past. But I was very clear. We had all changed. I tiptoed over, not wanting to wake him. The documents were not in the desk. Maybe the cleaning lady threw them away. I stood up, preparing to leave, when my wrist was grabbed. Eden Smedley pulled me gently, lifting his head slowly. "Looking for this?" His tone was cold. He took the documents from his desk. "Thank you." I took them and was about to leave. "Wait a minute." Eden Smedley gave a sleepy smile. Even this habitual small gesture was unchanged from 5 years ago. "Virginia Horace, I kept your documents for you, and a simple thank you is all you have." I remained silent. Eden Smedley clicked his tongue. "You don't even dare to speak. You've become timid. How is your mother lately?" I asked, though it was an unexpected question. Eden Smedley looked surprised but didn't think much of it. "She's doing well. Recently, she's been invited to a parent-child variety show." Eden Smedley's mother, Toby Bess, is a singer with an excellent public image. "Anything else you want to ask?" Eden Smedley said. "Then let me ask." He sat in my chair, and touched the writing on the desk. "Can you explain what this means?" I said, "It's my name. Yours. Are you sure?" His slender fingers moved to the underside of the desk. "This secret was never known to anyone. Virginia Horace, you actually liked me, didn't you?" Eden Smedley looked up, His eyes slightly reddened. I'm not a stand-in for anyone, am I? He was desperate for a reassuring answer, like someone drowning, grasping for a piece of driftwood. I looked at him and suddenly smiled. Eden Smedley, don't be like this. You're not acting like Malcolm Fanny. Eden Smedley's expression froze. I continued. The words on the back weren't carved by me. Don't get the wrong idea, Eden Smedley asked. Virginia Horace, why are you doing this to me? For fun. Is that reason enough? Eden Smedley was infuriated and walked away. He still doesn't know the real reason for my revenge. It's a bit embarrassing to admit. After discovering that Toby Bess was the driver responsible, I reported it to the relevant authorities. But Toby Bess had deep connections and remained hidden behind the scenes. Her agent handled the matter. At the time, the agent said, Toby Bess has an important commitment and cannot meet you. We're willing to offer compensation, and the amount will satisfy you. But there's one condition: pretend this accident never happened, and don't tell anyone else. Just how important could this commitment be that Toby Bess couldn't find time to meet me? I soon found out. Eden Smedley's debut. Toby Bess attended his debut event, dazzlingly in the spotlight. At that moment, my disgust for their family reached its peak. I wanted to blow the whistle and tell Eden Smedley everything. But when I was face to face with him, the words wouldn't come out. I considered a possibility. Eden Smedley might choose to support his mother even after learning the truth. How could he not? On one side was a brief 3-month romance. On the other, was over a decade of blood relationships. And Eden Smedley had a close relationship with his mother. When it came to human nature, how likely was it that he would help me? If he abandoned me and aligned with Toby Bess, what would I do? Just thinking about it made my feelings seem utterly ridiculous. I was torn between speaking and keeping silent. In the end, it was my mother who stopped me. My father passed away early, leaving me with only my mother to pay for my medical treatments and schooling. She worked tirelessly, and it soon took a toll on her. When she accompanied me to the hospital, she had to miss work, and after too many absences, she was fired. She kept it from me, leaving for work at 7 every day, pretending to go to the office while actually working in a restaurant. Once, I passed by the restaurant and saw her small figure. A customer scolded her for being slow with the dishes. My mother kept apologizing. Sorry, sorry, sorry. That night, she transferred me $100. The company gave bonuses today. Use this to buy something nice. How long has it been since you had steak? I said. Mom, I don't like steak anymore. She asked, is 100 too little? Steak is expensive now. She searched every pocket but couldn't find more money. Finally, she awkwardly said, sorry Virginia Horace, I'm old and useless. That night, buried under the covers, I cried uncontrollably. To be honest, I hadn't cried like that even when the accident first happened. The next day, I contacted Toby Best's agent. I accepted their compensation. At the same time, I promised to keep quiet and let the matter die in my heart. The day the agent transferred the money, Eden Smedley also came to see me. He said, Virginia Horace, I'm going to Bali next week to shoot an MV. My mom will cover all expenses. Come with me. He had bright, clear eyes, untainted by dust. I hid my left hand and said, no. What's wrong? Are you unwell? Didn't you say you really wanted to go to Bali? I specifically chose to shoot there. He bent over, looking at me with concern. Oh right, because Toby Bess never personally apologized. She still didn't know that her son's girlfriend was the one seeking compensation from her. The agent must have given her the information. She probably tossed it aside without even reading it. It might have gone straight into the shredder. Eden Smedley is kind and loves me, but he is Toby Best's son. Does he deserve my love? I felt weary and said, Eden Smedley, let's break up. After I said that, Eden Smedley went crazy. He wouldn't accept it and kept clinging to me. So I turned to Malcolm Fanny, the illegitimate son of the Smedley family. I knew Eden Smedley and Toby Bess both disliked him. The brothers had almost severed all ties, but they looked very much alike. I asked Malcolm Fanny to help me stage a scene, and he agreed readily. He didn't like Eden Smedley either, and he was eager to annoy him. In fact, Malcolm Fanny and I had known each other for a long time. We had taken the same piano class. He was my junior. What happened next is well known. I cheated with Malcolm Fanny, and Eden Smedley caught us in bed. I told Eden Smedley, "You're just Malcolm Fanny's stand-in." Eden Smedley was devastated. At his most broken moment, he stared at me with bloodshot eyes, holding a knife to himself. "Virginia Horace, you're lying to me, aren't you?" he asked, his voice a desperate murmur. I said, "I'm not lying. I like Malcolm Fanny." Eden Smedley immediately tried to stab himself. He was stopped by those present. That day, his blood flowed everywhere, just like on the day of my accident. Later, I went abroad for treatment and cut off contact with everyone. I heard Eden Smedley was in a slump for a long time. What happened after that, I don't know. Today was the day for my follow-up appointment at the hospital. I ran into Emma Saul in the outpatient department. Eden Smedley was there too. He was wearing a baseball cap and mask, looking down at his phone, not noticing me, but it seemed they came together. "What a coincidence, running into you again." Emma Saul came up to me quietly. I mumbled a response, too lazy to say more, but Emma Saul wouldn't let it go. Eden Smedley specially rescheduled his schedule to accompany me to this appointment. She pointed to the sign next to us. "We're in the obstetrics department." Obstetrics, so she's pregnant. I congratulated her and left. A while later, Eden Smedley noticed me. Emma Saul wasn't around, so she must have gone into the consultation room alone. Seeing me, he seemed surprised. "Are you sick?" I didn't answer directly. "Is it wrong to like the male doctors here? Did you break up with Malcolm Fanny?" "That's none of your business." "Right." Eden Smedley, seeming to think of something, gave a cold smile. "If you can betray your favorite piano, what else can't you betray?" I didn't respond. Just then, the orthopedic nurse arrived. I often come to the hospital, so the staff all know me, especially this nurse, who had been working here since the time of my accident. Over time, she treated me like a younger sister and took great care of me. The nurse came over to chat. "Virginia Horace, is this your friend?" Eden Smedley was so well covered that the nurse didn't recognize him. I was about to deny it when Eden Smedley nodded. "Yes," the nurse said. "That's good. You have a friend with you today. How have you been feeling lately?" I said, "Pretty good." "All right, make sure the doctor checks you thoroughly." "What are they checking?" Eden Smedley became alert. "Virginia Horace, are you injured?" The nurse was surprised. "You're her friend and you didn't know. Her left hand has been injured for 5 or 6 years." Eden Smedley was instantly stunned. Seeing his reaction, the nurse said, "You really didn't know. She had a serious car accident in her sophomore year, and her left hand was severely damaged." "Severely damaged? What's the matter, Virginia Horace? Didn't you tell your friend?" I shrugged. "There's nothing to say." "How can you say there's nothing? Because of this injury, you can't even play the piano anymore." Eden Smedley shuddered. "Can't play the piano? That's in the past." The nurse sighed with emotion. "Our doctors initially thought she would never play the piano again, but Virginia Horace wouldn't give up. After graduating from high school, she went abroad for treatment, persisted in rehab every day, enduring all the pain and hardship. Now she can play the piano again." Several young nurses nearby also gathered around. Yes, Virginia Horace is the most impressive patient I've ever seen. Her willpower is extraordinary," the doctor said. "Her current condition is already a miracle. By the way, Virginia Horace, a patient recently wanted to meet you and asked how you managed to keep going." I was stunned and said, "Just wanted to save myself. That wasn't a joke. Living abroad was expensive. Although Toby Bess gave money, my mother and I couldn't afford to waste it. While taking care of me, my mother worked illegally at a Chinese restaurant. Once, she collapsed from exhaustion, and I had to take care of her. She cried in her sleep and, upon waking, wouldn't tell me what she dreamt about, so I guess she must have dreamed about me playing the piano." I told her, "Mom, don't worry, I will continue to play the piano." She said, "Silly child, what are you talking about?" Really, I was firm and sincere. "I will definitely return to the stage. Just wait and see." That was my promise to my mother and to myself. From that day on, I overcame my despair and persisted in exercise and rehabilitation. It was painful and risky, but rather than being a semi-invalid, I preferred to fight desperately. I wanted to prove that fate couldn't defeat me. I wouldn't rely on anyone. I had to save myself from disaster, no matter the cost. Just wanted to save myself, I said with a smile. Fortunately, after 5 years, I managed to do it. You have a solo performance next week, right? Yes, it's my first solo performance after my comeback. You're welcome to come. Eden Smedley remained silent. He seemed stunned. He stared at me, unmoving. After a long while, he said, "You haven't changed." "What?" "Virginia Horace, you haven't changed at all. The first time I saw you in my freshman year, you were like this, unyielding, practicing tirelessly. That stubbornness, I'll never forget." My name was called. I didn't catch what he said afterward. After a series of tests, which took over an hour, Eden Smedley was still there. He waited by the door. The things the doctor said earlier were probably all heard by him. "Virginia Horace, can I ask you a question?" "Sure. Why didn't you tell me about your hand injury back then?" I rubbed my wrist. "When I was about to tell you, I realized it wasn't necessary." "What do you mean?" Eden Smedley's eyes darkened. "Because I'm just a stand-in and don't deserve to know. Is that it?" I smiled. "You can interpret it that way." I expected him to react like last time, turning and leaving in anger. But he didn't. He stayed right behind me. The pharmacy gave me a bag of medication, and Eden Smedley insisted on carrying it for me. I said, "Big star, can you stay away from me? I don't want to make the news." He ignored me. "Virginia Horace, how's your hand now?" The doctor said. "When will it fully heal?" "That's not your concern." "What about Emma Saul?" "I sent her back first." I stopped in disbelief. "How could you send a pregnant woman back alone?" "Pregnant?" Eden Smedley was stunned. "Emma Saul isn't pregnant." "Well, she's supposedly pregnant." "You two are getting married." "Who told you that?" Eden Smedley frowned. "Seriously, I'm not even dating her. How could we be getting married?" That surprised me. "She's wearing an engagement ring, and said it was from you." "Not me. I don't know about any ring or engagement." "Then why did you specifically reschedule your schedule to accompany her to obstetrics?" Eden Smedley's frown deepened. "My cousin is pregnant. I didn't have any schedule today, so I came with her. But as the only male relative, it was inconvenient. So Emma Saul volunteered to come with us. She and my cousin have known each other for many years. So, there was no engagement, no pregnancy." Emma Saul was lying. How boring. Even if it were true, would I care? But Eden Smedley cared. He insisted on clarifying. "Virginia Horace, Emma Saul and I have no relationship at all. The studio has clarified this." I knew that. Eden Smedley's studio had indeed clarified. But in today's entertainment industry, clarifications are like farts. No one believes them. I didn't believe it either. "You two are a good match," I said politely. "Just like Malcolm Fanny and I were." Mentioning Malcolm Fanny made Eden Smedley uneasy, but I did it on purpose. The more uncomfortable he was, the happier I felt. "Virginia Horace, do you still like Malcolm Fanny?" "Yes." "Then let's get back together." I stared at him. "Are you crazy?" "I'm very calm." Eden Smedley spoke deliberately. "In these 5 years, I've come to understand one thing. As long as you're willing to be with me, even if I'm just a stand-in, I'm willing." He pressed his lips together and lowered his gaze, as if making a great decision. Discarding his dignity, he said the last line, "Even being the third wheel is fine." The first solo performance after my comeback, the violinist from the orchestra came to cheer me on, and gossiped a bit. "Virginia Horace, is it true that you and Eden Smedley are together? Do you believe everything paparazzi say?" "Of course, it's not true." "Then what exactly is your relationship?" The young girl blinked her big eyes, looking innocent. I said, "Just alumni." "You're the 20th person to ask me this week." "How exasperating." "Just last week, in the hospital, Eden Smedley proposed getting back together. I refused and reminded him, 'You've never loved anyone with your whole heart.' That's what he said in an interview." Eden Smedley said. That was a prepared response, required by the school, to avoid giving a bad influence to current students. "But you didn't invite me to the shoot." Eden Smedley frowned. "I don't know why you weren't invited." "I didn't write the list." "Wasn't it you?" "Well, it was written by his agent. His agent knew our past, so it's understandable that he didn't invite me." Eden Smedley said. "Virginia Horace, I've always liked you. You should know that. Can we get back together? I still declined, but at that time, I didn't know that a photo had already been taken. Despite his attempts to hide, he was still recognized by fans. The faint mosaic on my face might as well not have been there. Soon, the band members recognized me. Gossip spread rapidly, and it was overwhelming. Eden Smedley's studio quickly released a statement asking people not to bother ordinary people. At the same time, they clarified once again the rumors about Emma Saul. Eden Smedley himself retweeted it with just one sentence. I have someone I've liked for a long time. Please stop spreading rumors and friends. Please be respectful. Emma Saul deleted all her related Weibo posts overnight, because she lied and stirred up trouble. Eden Smedley was no longer willing to help her. Her resources plummeted. But that's another story. At the moment, one of the younger band members said disappointedly, just an alumnus. I thought Eden Smedley's legendary first love was you. Don't think too much. I took the stage, holding up my skirt. My mom sat in the front row, the best seat. Tears of joy sparkled in her eyes. The performance was a great success, with thunderous applause. As soon as I came off stage, the band members surrounded me, offering their congratulations. The violinist was exceptionally excited. Virginia Horace, you said he was just an alumnus. Eden Smedley came to see your performance. Where? Before she could answer, Eden Smedley's voice was heard. Right here. He walked towards me, holding a bouquet of flowers. Congratulations on your successful debut. He presented the flowers to me. They were not roses, but lilacs. The language of lilacs is first love and brilliance. There was a congratulatory card on the flowers. Eden Smedley's handwriting, as always, was elegant. Virginia Horace, your brilliance will never fade. I stared at those words for a long time. The band members had already surrounded Eden Smedley, eagerly gossiping. How long have you known Virginia Horace? 8 years. And you like her, right? Yes. Wow, I knew it. His candid answers led to excited squeals from everyone. Calm down. Calm down, the band leader said. It's normal for a big star to like someone as beautiful as Virginia Horace. Eden Smedley smiled. She is indeed beautiful, but it wasn't initially because of her appearance. Oh, then what was it? Probably because I admired her perseverance. Please elaborate. Eden Smedley's expression softened. The first time I saw her was in Virginia Horace Hall at school. She was practicing the piano, playing Long Time No See. The teacher said she was already playing very well, but she wasn't satisfied. She practiced over and over again. At first, I just liked the song, Long Time No See, so I stayed to listen. Later, I became curious. How long would she keep practicing? And so, I watched her practice all night. The band members said, yes, that's exactly how she is. She hasn't changed in all these years. Eden Smedley looked up, gazing at me. She's still the same Virginia Horace. After the gossip died down, Eden Smedley once again asked, Virginia Horace, let's get back together. Thank you for your generous words earlier, but getting back together isn't necessary. Then I'll ask again in a few days. Don't ask again. It's not possible. I pointed to the door. My ride is here. Eden Smedley, make yourself at home. Eden Smedley looked over, and his face instantly turned pale. It was Malcolm Fanny. Malcolm Fanny was holding a large bouquet of roses and provocatively stared at Eden Smedley. Bro, do your fans know you have a habit of poaching other people's partners? Eden Smedley's face turned cold. Why are you back? Malcolm Fanny had been in another city before. He returned today to help me. Malcolm Fanny smirked. How could I not come to my precious one's performance? I've already inquired. Eden Smedley said. You two haven't been together in years. That's none of your business. Malcolm Fanny, you're starting a business and need a lot of money, right? Eden Smedley's tone was calm. I can give it to you. I don't care for your filthy money. You don't have money. How are you going to take care of Virginia Horace? Have you thought about that? I almost forgot that Eden Smedley was only a love-struck fool in front of me. At his core, he was an academic achiever. Academics are skilled at peeling back layers, uncovering core issues, and then hitting the nail on the head. As expected, Malcolm Fanny was caught off guard by his questions. I can provide the best conditions for Virginia Horace's hand, taking her to see the best doctors in the world, regardless of cost. Additionally, in terms of career opportunities, I can offer her more performance opportunities if she desires. Eden Smedley paused and glanced at me. I know Virginia Horace is very independent and doesn't like to rely on others, but that doesn't mean her partner can justifiably lack these abilities. Malcolm Fanny came to help me, and I couldn't bear to see him being attacked like this. I asked Eden Smedley, "What exactly are you trying to say?" Eden Smedley smiled faintly. "Fair competition." The room fell silent for a moment. After a while, Malcolm Fanny scoffed. "Fair competition, Eden Smedley. What right do you have to talk about fairness? Why don't I have the right?" Sensing that Malcolm Fanny was about to say more, I stepped forward to try to cover his mouth, but it was too late. "Go ask your mother, your noble mother, who harmed my senior, and you still expect fairness? Nonsense." Time seemed to stretch. Eden Smedley was frozen for just a few seconds, but it felt like an eternity, as if a century had passed. "What did you say?" He gripped Malcolm Fanny tightly, his whole body trembling. "Say it again." "Your mother," I said. "Malcolm Fanny, be quiet. Your mother was the driver who hit my senior. Didn't you know?" I almost wanted to yank his ear. Malcolm Fanny, already somewhat of a rogue, appeared even more so with his hands in his pockets. "Senior, you took Toby Best's money and promised not to tell the media or her family, but I didn't take it. Don't worry, since I'm the one who's speaking out today, not you, it won't count as you breaking your promise." I was speechless, but I couldn't refute it. I had indeed promised Toby Best to stay silent, including to her family. This was also one of the reasons I hadn't told Eden Smedley. Even elementary school students know to keep promises. I still have that basic virtue. I initially thought that Eden Smedley and I would never intersect again, but unexpectedly, the situation came full circle and he found out. Eden Smedley's face was now as white as a sheet. "You lied. Whether I lied or not, just ask Toby Best when you go back." Eden Smedley turned to look at me. He hoped I would say, "No," but I met his gaze directly. The only answer was silence. I don't remember how Eden Smedley left that night. He walked away with a dazed expression, as if his soul had been drained. I knew that the Smedley family had a broken home education. Since childhood, his father was absent, and only his mother raised him. Moreover, because his father was involved in an affair and fathered an illegitimate child, Eden Smedley had always felt sorry for his mother. Furthermore, Toby Best sacrificed her career to take care of him. Eden Smedley respected and loved her, just like I love my mother. It's only natural. But now, his ivory tower had collapsed. He discovered that the mother he thought was selflessly loving had such a dark side. He probably needed to go and verify with Toby Best. What would Toby Best say? Deny, or admit? I was also a bit exhausted and fell asleep as soon as I got home. The next morning, Malcolm Fanny's call woke me up. "Senior, don't sleep. It's a holiday. Hurry up and get ready. I'm coming to pick you up to go to the Smedley house." I immediately woke up. For what? Eden Smedley hasn't come home all night and is probably questioning life. He just sent me a message saying he's going home to ask Toby Best. We had finally reached this point. Malcolm Fanny urged me to go. I thought about it and agreed. Given the situation, there was no need to hide anymore. However, I wouldn't be convenient to appear when they were confronting each other. Malcolm Fanny came up with a cunning plan for me to eavesdrop from the corner of the wall. So, we sat under the window of the Smedley family's villa, waiting for the show to begin. Sure enough, Eden Smedley returned home. Toby Best greeted him happily. "Why did my son come home today? Are you craving your mom's cooking? What do you want to eat? I'll cook." "Mom." When Eden Smedley spoke, his voice was already hoarse. Toby Best was startled. "What's wrong? Are you unhappy with work? Or are you sick? Quick, let me get you some medicine." "Don't bother, Mom. I have a question for you. Please answer me honestly." Okay, ask away." "Do you remember Virginia Horace? My only girlfriend. She had an accident in her sophomore year, injuring her left hand, and has not been able to play the piano since. This incident, is it related to you?" Toby Best was stunned. "You? Why do you think that it has nothing to do with me? I didn't hit her." Eden Smedley fell silent. He was silent for a long time. Then, trembling, he said, "I didn't say it was a car accident. Mom, how do you know she was hit?" It was impossible to hide anymore. Under Eden Smedley's relentless questioning, Toby Bess finally admitted, "Yes, I hit her, but it wasn't intentional." "Then why did you run away?" Toby Bess was at a loss for words. Mom was panicked at that moment. The girl didn't seem to be seriously injured, so I ran away. I thought there were no cameras at that intersection, so no one would find me. Mom, were you drinking that day? Yes, errors must be faced up to. That's what you taught me when I was young. Toby Bess sighed. I was confused. Drinking and fleeing was wrong, but I really couldn't risk a scandal. If something went wrong, you'd be implicated. I did it to protect you. Protect me. These 3 words completely crushed Eden Smedley. But I don't want that kind of protection. He completely broke down. He knelt on the carpet, holding his head in pain. Tears streamed down his face. Mom, I respected you so much. How could you do this? Toby Bess panicked. It's all in the past. You've already broken up with that girl, haven't you? It hasn't passed. Every day without her has been painful. Eden Smedley struggled to hold back his tears. His voice was trapped in his throat, turning into a bitter sob. You don't know how much I loved her. Should young love be dismissed? Besides Virginia Horace, I haven't liked anyone else to this day. Is it wrong to want to be with her forever? But Mom, I've been without her for 5 years. 5 years. And only yesterday did I find out the real reason she left me. Why? He seemed to be questioning his mother, and also questioning himself. His cries turned into anguished roars. At the same time, Eden Smedley pounded the ground violently, as if he wanted to break his own left-hand bone. I'm sorry. The questioning turned into apologies. Eden Smedley didn't know I was there, but sorry was the only thing he wanted to say right now. After an unknown amount of time, Malcolm Fanny handed me a tissue. Wipe your tears. I touched my face and realized I was crying. Why was I crying? Perhaps because I had once truly liked Eden Smedley. During the year when I was isolated and ostracized, Eden Smedley was like a ray of light in my desperate life. Such a proud person, now suffering like a trapped beast. Toby Bess was far from a good person, but she raised Eden Smedley so well. Human beings are truly contradictory. I wiped my tears and said, "Let's go." Malcolm Fanny asked, "Not going to watch anymore?" "Not worth watching." "Then let's go." For the next period, I didn't see Eden Smedley. I guessed he probably chose to stand by his mother. My life returned to normal. One morning, I finally saw the top trending topic. Eden Smedley reports Toby Bess for drunk driving and fleeing the scene. I was stunned when I saw the headline. Soon, the police contacted me, asking if I wanted to file a lawsuit. I thought about it and shook my head. I had already received compensation. The mistake Toby Bess made was now known to the world. More importantly, I now had a new life plan. I was working hard for it, and didn't want to spend time on a lawsuit. But the matter wasn't over yet. Just because I didn't pursue it didn't mean Eden Smedley would stop. He was going to hold a press conference. What the press conference would address was unknown. The media guessed that he would apologize for his mother and seek forgiveness. I went to the press conference, wearing a mask and sitting in the corner. Eden Smedley walked out in a black suit. I have an announcement to make. I have officially decided to leave the entertainment industry. I doubted my ears. Clearly, the reporters did too. They even forgot to press the shutter, and the scene fell silent for a few seconds. Then, the murmurs rose like a tidal wave, surging uncontrollably. Eden Smedley waited until the crowd's emotions calmed before continuing. First of all, I want to apologize for the mistakes my mother made. I, Eden Smedley, have grown up under her care, and have been fortunate in my career so far. My mother used her connections to support and pave the way for me. It can be said that my achievements today are closely linked to her. So, no matter what, I cannot sever ties. He lowered his gaze, looking somewhat despondent. I can't say that it was her doing and that I have nothing to do with it. That would make me a real jerk. I have enjoyed my mother's love and convenience, and walked the path of success, over the blood of others. I have decided to leave the industry to atone for my mother's sins. Until I receive forgiveness from the victims, all my income from these years will be given to the victims. If they refuse, I will donate it. The audience buzzed with discussion. Someone asked, I heard the victim is your first love. Yes, Eden Smedley admitted calmly. An old fan of Toby Bess angrily shouted, Eden Smedley, you're such an ingrate. Toby Bess supported you for over 20 years, and you betray her for your first love. How can you face your mother? The fan rushed forward, throwing headphones, bags, water bottles, and other items at him. Eden Smedley made no attempt to dodge. In the chaos, he was struck on the forehead by a headphone, which cut him open and made him bleed. When security restored order, it was noticed that Eden Smedley was silently shedding tears. He must have felt a lot of guilt, knowing he could have pretended not to know. Toby Bess's hard-earned reputation was ruined just like that. He said, I am doing this precisely because she is my mother. Then, Eden Smedley bowed deeply. I'm sorry. This apology was for me, and for many others. He remained bowed for a long time. The offer from the Juilliard School came 3 months later. This is what I mentioned earlier, a new plan. I am going to study piano, and I will devote myself fully to starting a new life. During these 3 months, Eden Smedley completely disappeared from the limelight. All that remained online were his fans' lamentations. But Eden Smedley did not disappear from my life. Day after day, he hoped to earn my forgiveness. One day, he got drunk, and knelt at my door all night. I hadn't told him about going abroad. It was only the day before departure that I took the unprecedented step of contacting him. I asked him to watch the sunset at our high school alma mater. In the classroom, there were the sounds of students reading aloud. On the playground, boys and girls were sweating it out. We walked around the school, circling again and again. Finally, we stopped under a wall. This was our school's confession wall. For years, countless students had quietly carved their hearts out on it. I touched a corner of the wall and said, I found it. Carved into the wall were 7 very small characters, barely visible unless you looked closely. Virginia Horace likes Eden Smedley. Eden Smedley's expression changed. Eden Smedley also likes Virginia Horace. Very much, very much. I smiled in relief. Although so much has happened, Eden Smedley, I am glad that I knew you during those 3 years. You were my youth. Eden Smedley was taken aback. Virginia Horace, you were also my youth, my best youth. A plane flew overhead. Many students stopped and looked up. They were looking at the plane, and at their hopes for the future and the world. At this moment, I was no different from them. I was about to attend the best music school in the world. Dreams had been regained. I was grateful to myself for always striving, and never giving up. In the end, I smiled at him, just as I did when we first met. Eden Smedley, I forgive you. Please let me go. Move forward. End of main story. ****, epilogue. Male lead's perspective. ***, 01. Virginia Horace was watching the plane in the sky. The way she smiled with her eyes curved was truly beautiful. It reminded me of that year in the first year of high school. I met her in Virginia Horace's class. The stage lights were on, focusing solely on her. She had practiced the song, Long Time No See, all night. I thought this girl was really interesting. Her perseverance was rare. When she noticed me, Virginia Horace looked a bit flustered. She smiled awkwardly. I'm practicing. Am I disturbing you? She thought I was there to rehearse as well. I shook my head. Eden Smedley from class 3, first year. And you? She replied. Virginia Horace from class 8, first year. I smiled. So, I've been missing you all these years. Virginia Horace blushed, ignored me, and continued practicing. I took a photo of her. That photo, now with poor resolution and blurry, has always been my phone wallpaper. The 16 or 17-year-old Virginia Horace was magical, as if she could shine. She still does now. The 23-year-old Virginia Horace's brilliance hasn't diminished. She looked up at the plane, urging me to move forward, but I couldn't. If there was no future with her, I'd rather stand still or remain lost in the past. The next day, Virginia Horace's phone was unreachable. I was anxious when Malcolm Fanny suddenly sought me out. He never reaches out to me on his own. He rode his supposedly cool motorcycle, and asked me to get on. Where to? To the airport. Don't you want to send off your senior? I was stunned. She She's going abroad to study. She got an offer from the top music school. Are you going to accept that? 02. I jumped on the motorcycle immediately. Malcolm Fanny drove very fast, but I still didn't make it. The flight to the other side of the ocean had already taken off. I stood by the glass window, watching the trail of the plane, finally understanding what Virginia Horace had been looking at yesterday. She was looking at the future. She was knocked down by fate, but stood up and created a new future. Malcolm Fanny and I usually don't have much to talk about, but today, I was curious. Why are you being so kind, bringing me here? Want to be a good Samaritan for a day? Do you believe it? I don't. Do you know, Eden Smedley, I also learned piano. Really? But you don't seem to have any talent for it. Your words are sharp. Malcolm Fanny wasn't angry but smiled. You're right. I have no talent, especially after meeting her. Malcolm Fanny lit a cigarette and blew out smoke. Her talent is so high, and she works harder than anyone else. Even the second best in our class can't compare to her. She's a scary girl. After meeting her, I knew that piano is something I'm destined to be apart from. I looked at Malcolm Fanny and suddenly understood something. You like her? Malcolm Fanny lowered his eyes and smiled. Don't tell her. Rather than being hated by her like you, I might as well just be a junior, which is fine. So, Malcolm Fanny's agreement to help her was not entirely to upset me. He simply wanted to help her. But Virginia Horace only saw him as a junior. In fact, Virginia Horace was unaware of his feelings. Brother, I'm actually quite jealous of you, Malcolm Fanny said again. But I have to admit, only someone as smart and devoted as you deserves her. After finishing his cigarette, Malcolm Fanny finally said to me, the best music schools in the US are just a few. I've pointed them out for you. That's enough. Right. The rest is up to you. 03. I went to the US. Virginia Horace was easy to find. Chinese, highly talented. 23. After visiting a few schools, I knew she was at Juilliard, but I didn't go straight to find her. She had started a new life. Disturbing her now would only add to her troubles. As she said, I should also move forward. Perhaps one day, we might meet again in the future. I often went to see Virginia Horace practice piano, but I stayed outside the room, only standing at the door. I continued writing songs, selling them to music producers here. A Western singer sang one of my songs. One day, I heard Virginia Horace playing that piece. Her classmate asked, do you really like this song? She replied, the style of this song is very similar to a friend. What kind of friend? A boyfriend. Virginia Horace didn't answer, only continued playing, repeating the piece. 04. Recently, there have been violent incidents in New York. I was worried about Virginia Horace. She practices piano late into the night, so I waited to escort her. She would occasionally stop and look back,